Hello, everyone. We're back with a new episode. And for today's topic, honestly, all I want to do is give you guys a little bit of encouragement. I know that this path is not easy. The path of self mastery, the path of spiritual evolution, the sitting in the fire, the endless and tireless opportunities to craft and recreate yourself. This is not easy work in any capacity. If you're even watching this videos, if you even resonate with anything that I say, then you know this is not easy work. If it were, everybody would be doing it, right? We'd live in a totally different world because everybody would be on this path. And, you know, yeah, most people are down to take the easy route. Much fewer people are down to take the long, harder path through the self. Like, who even does that? And so many people would think that was even a weird thing to say. So if you're here, if you're doing this work, I am here today just to give you flowers and to applaud you. This is some of the most difficult stuff, work, time, energy you will ever put in. You know, you want to talk about doing the work. This is doing the work. And it is at times, you know, especially when you're active with it and present with it and available to it, and you meet those dark nights of the soul and you meet the bottom of your barrel and you have those tower moments and everything feels like it's falling apart and it feels like it's just you and you don't have anybody to turn to and you're so frustrated and you're like, you have those moments. Many of us have these moments. So maybe this resonates with you where you're like, I've put in so much work. Like, why is this happening to me? Right? Like, we get in those really deep spaces. And absolutely. Like, it's okay to be there. You know, you hear me talk on here about trying not to be the victim and, you know, being aware of victim mentalities. And of course, yes, but also if you need to go there sometimes, go there. Like, let yourself fall apart in the moments you need to fall apart, because the other side of doing this work is realizing that you have the power to pick yourself back up. You really do. And if you don't in the moments that you need it, then the support you will need to pick yourself back up will be there. But the truth is, you know, what I have found for myself, you know, some of my darkest nights of the soul were through the loss of my mother. And you know, when I had those times where I was just at the bottom of my barrel, you know, like you're having an entire existential crisis. What, you know, why am I even here? What's the point? What I found was at any moment, I still knew I could literally just get up and go make a sandwich. I could pull myself up, stand up, put down the heaviness for a minute if I needed to, and go do what I needed to do. And just, you know, take a minute out of it. And this is the beautiful dance of being on this path, is that, yes, you're so deep in it and it's all consuming and all encompassing at times. And you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're going through your own darkness, and it's frustrating and you feel lost and you feel alone. It's all of that. And also the awareness of it, right? Like, you are both the human going through the human experience and the human development and the mastery of your soul, and the one who's aware of that whole process, the neutral, loving awareness that that you can almost just tap into in those moments of like deep hardship, and realize, like, and give yourself that loving energy, that loving talk, that bear hug, you know. And you know, whatever you believe in, if you align with God or angels or whatever, you know, to me, there's definitely energetic support, whatever you want to call that. You know, I feel my mother all the time, heavily, almost more now in a way that I didn't when she was here, as close as we were and as spiritually connected as she was. She's everywhere now, especially when I'm at the bottom. You know, if I have the support that I need. And no matter what my mind is telling me that I don't, or I'm alone, or nobody loves me, or whatever it is, you know, in the moments of me going into my victimhood, I go there. I'm calling myself out. I definitely let myself go there. And it's the times where I just feel very alone. I think that's a common theme on this path, is to feel very alone, because the truth is, when you're really dedicated to your own evolution, a lot of people and a lot of relationships are going to fall away. Your circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller as you really prioritize and protect your peace. There will be relationships, there will be long-standing people, your day ones even, who don't make the cut, or they simply are not a vibrational match as elevate and rise in vibration, you know? And so yes, the circle narrows. The people you really feel like you can really resonate with, who just get it, gets a lot smaller, and also new ones come. And so you lose the expectation of who you think it needs to be, like your bestie from day one that you thought could go with you on this path. And you start to realize like they simply are not there. They're simply not as committed to the work, or they're simply on a different path. It's not even love lost. It's just recognition that your path is going to attract and align with only certain and specific people. As you become vibrationally clearer, energetically, spiritually clearer, there will only be so many people who really vibe with you, who understand you on a soul level. And that's not a bad thing, because the other thing that you learn is the person that you need will always be there. The person that you need will always be there. Even if you're having a down day, you feel like you have nobody to call and talk to, you happen to go to the grocery store and the checkout person says the exact words you needed to hear, in no way could they possibly know. And yet somehow they knew. Because there's some force that binds us all together, if even just vibration, where your vibration was asking and needing those words from that person beyond what they even realized what they were giving you. It was there. The support is there. As alone as this feels, as hard as this feels, as heavy as this feels, as misunderstood as this feels, you will have everything that you need. And even at the bottom of the barrel, when it's literally just you and you have to pick yourself back up, you realize that you have the power to do that. And you have the energetic support. And even if you think it's crazy to talk to your angels, at least try, you know, your ancestors, whoever you feel a relationship with in that way. Like, I'd rather be crazy talking to my angels than not, and talking to myself in my head and go spinning circles, to me personally, right? Like, I'd rather think that there are angels and believe, if that's crazy to some people, than to think that there's not. And then you're just spinning wheels in your head in the ego, and you're running the rat race and you have no connection to a higher power at all. So it's your path, ultimately. It's your path. And that can feel also isolating, and it can feel simultaneously extremely rewarding, because the work always, always, always pays off 100%. And that's the encouragement I want to give you today, because there's never been a moment that I've sat down for a meditation, or I've gone to even a workout or whatever, you know, I've put in the work towards myself, mind, body, soul, spirit, emotion, energy, all of it, where I look back and I'm like, I wasted my time. Never, 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 never have I felt like I wasted my time putting in the work towards myself. And every single minute has added up to me, where now I feel so much deep contentment with my life. I feel like a sense of completion. I feel like a sense of, I have just arrived as myself. And I enjoy myself. I like being myself. I trust what comes out of me. I trust my work. I trust my role. I trust why I'm here. I trust all of it. I have full faith in my path. And as you've heard me talk about before, I wake up in the morning, I feel so good. I love how I feel in my body. I love how my mind works. I've crafted and created. And this, mind you, this is hours. And I mean, I'm probably talking 10,000 hours, right, of self-mastery that I've put in to get to this place. And it has been rough and tiring, and also the most magical and beautiful experience ever. I wouldn't do anything different. I wouldn't do a single thing different. So while the reward is not always immediately present in that moment, it is like going to the gym, right? You don't go to the gym and you leave the gym. You do feel better when you leave the gym, but you may not have like the muscles you've been looking for the second you walk out the door, right? It takes time, just as it takes time to build your spiritual muscle, so to speak, your spiritual self, your inner beingness. Clearing, releasing, cleansing, letting go of, recalibrating, shifting, changing, transmuting, alchemizing. Like, there's a lot of work to be done. There is a lot of work to be done. And yet at some point, it becomes kind of fun, especially when you start to actively include play and funness in the process. You know, I really did have to get to a point at some place where I realized I was focusing on the healing a little too much. Like, it wasn't playful enough for me. It wasn't fun enough. It was kind of taking the fun out of life. And that's not, so I was like, whoa, that was a major wake up call for me, because the path is absolutely fun. It's more fun. It's more playful. You return almost to that like childlike innocence on this path because you've unloaded the layers of heaviness and humanness that you've collected on, the route towards the now. So you become more yourself. You become more of that inner joy, that inner child, that innocent, playful, fun, living in a mystical, magical world where everything is actually very cool. And that's the journey that it takes you towards. So you want to bring that in as much as you can, right? I mean, there are times to focus just on the healing, and that's good. And it might be years. For me, it was definitely years. But there came to a point where I'm like, I'm a little too focused on that now. I don't want everything, I was making it heavier than it needed to be. So be aware if you're doing that, if you're really deep in your path, which of course I applaud you for. Make sure that you're also having fun, that you also get to enjoy the rewards that are present. You're building up your abundance inside of you by doing this work. So whenever you just take a minute to tap into that, feel into it, do a little review of who you are now and who you were however long ago. And it doesn't take long to see like, okay, yeah, no, I can see the difference. And you did that. Like you did that. Nobody else is doing this work for you. That's the other side of it is yes, it's just you doing the work, isolating. And also nobody else has done the work. It's been you. It has been you doing this work for yourself, for the world, for the future generations, for everybody that ever existed and everybody to come. That's the truth. That's who we do this for. We do it for ourselves and we do it for everybody. We're changing this is the revolution, is doing this work. So I want to just give you that. I want to say, I see you on this path. I know it can be hard. I know it can be difficult. I know there are moments of like, why me? And the truth is, anytime I've sat at the bottom of my barrel and I ask God, why me? Like I've put in so much work, like why me, right? Deep victim space. And it's okay to go there. The answer always revealed, I've just been preparing you for what you asked me for. I've just been preparing you for what you asked me for. I'm like, dang it. It's so true. And that's where it always arrives, is that at some point I realized I had to go through that, whatever that was, me at the bottom of a barrel crying and feeling sad for myself, because it undid the pieces of me that were in the way of what I was asking for. It released me from the stories or the emotions or whatever was happening, conjuring up in those moments, alchemizing, clearing in those moments, where only after that experience could I call in what I wanted. It was a full-on requirement for what I was asking for. And that was like, it's always the clearest message. Whenever I sit in those victim spaces, I feel the energy of like, this is literally me preparing you for what you asked for. It's like the millionaire. When someone wants to be a millionaire, oftentimes what happens first is they hit rock bottom financially. They're in the red financially. You have to go through that space because that's what actually teaches you what abundance is. That actually is what teaches you that you have the power to make what you need to make and do what you need to do to get where you're trying to go, right? That's like the first thing, you're like, I want to be a millionaire. Oftentimes the first thing that'll be sit in your lap is a red number in your bank account. You're like, this is not what I asked for. What the hell? And it is. It doesn't feel like it in the moment, but at some point you look back and it all makes sense. So in that same, energy of like, you can't make this ish up, that you constantly feel and see, and the way that things align and the ways that synchronicities cross your path at exactly the moment that you are available to seeing them and that you need them. On the other side of it is that everything is preparing you. It's all preparing you to become who you are here to be, to live the life that you're capable of and you're worthy of. And it is this work that feeds that future self, where you sit in worthiness, where you know who you are because you know the work you've put in to make this person brick by brick by brick. So my encouragement to you is please keep going. Please keep going. Just keep going. Sometimes you have to go minute at a time, 1 second at a time, just bit by bit by bit. Other times you're on top of the world, right? It's all of it. It's the whole human experience here. That's the whole point. And the more you allow the entirety of it to live itself out through you, the more you really honor and respect and know your role. right? Your divine assignment lives itself out through you, through the entirety, the full spectrum of the human experience. So let it all express itself through you. Let it be art, let it be poetry, let it be magic, let it be tragedy, right? There is no love without tragedy. There's no good without bad, right? We need the duality to really understand the whole picture of being alive, of being in this physical form. So keep going, just keep going. When it's hard, when it's frustrating, when it feels like it's just you, know that your people are on their way, that your people are looking for you too, that if you have to let someone go, it's because there's someone more vibrationally aligned, ready to take their place, not take their place, but fill the need that you have for companionship, love, community, whatever it is. You will always have who you need. You will always have who you need, even if you need to go through a lone wolf phase for a while, right? Like, let there be phases, let there be shifts and changes. Don't identify too fully with whatever you think you are in the moment. Allow that to be what is now, and trust that there could come a time where you shift out of that, that's just a phase for growth and healing, your container at the time, because that's what's teaching you. And then as soon as the lesson is done, you move on to the next phase. The next, you go from lone wolf phase to having a major community of people who see and understand and support you. That is absolutely possible, but you have to keep going. Right? That's the number one rule, is you have to keep going. So from the bottom of my heart, I hope that you do. I thank you all for keeping me going. I get so much love and so many messages and comments and all the things from you guys. Like, you have no clue how much that feeds me and keeps me going. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work. And let's go, you guys. We got this. We're taking over. We are not stopping. And I am honored and excited to see where you all take it, where we go together, where we go as a community, a tribe. We're up next. Love you guys. See you.